Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a 43,561 square foot Mediterranean revival style mansion located off Monument Road in Ponca City, Oklahoma, that stands as one of the largest residences in the southwestern United States, also more affectionately referred to as the Palace on the Prairie, and shrouded in a number of ghost stories and accounts of encounters with the inexplicable. Are you prepared to brave the history and hauntings of the EW Marland Mansion? Historically, this prestigious abode was initially constructed at the peak of the 1920s oil boom as a display of the ludicrous wealth of American lawyer, oil tycoon, former U.S. congressman, and former Oklahoma Governor Ernest Whitworth Marland, atop his 2,500-acre estate called the Refuge, which at the time was located on the edge of town, after which Marland would amass a collection of expensive art including the garden's French limestone sculptures depicting his family, and rare decorations and furnishings from across the globe to fill his lavish new home with. The mansion's construction would begin in 1925 under prominent Tulsa architect John Duncan Forsyth, who would employ dozens of European craftsmen and specialists over a nearly 4-year project, with the residence officially completed in 1928. And on June 2nd of the same year, Marland would open his estate to family and friends, hosting a luncheon and such events as polo and fox hunts, which he himself actually introduced to Oklahoma. Unfortunately, Marland, whose eyes were a bit larger than his billfold, was actually financially dragged down by his beloved estate following the hostile takeover of his company in 1928 by J.P. Morgan Jr., and by a lack of funding for upkeep. And in 1931, his family would move into the artist studio on site, while keeping their mansion reserved only for special occasions such as the inaugural ball in 1931, purposed to celebrate Marland as Oklahoma's 10th governor. In 1941, just 6 months before his passing, EW would sell his estate to the Discalced Carmelite Fathers for just $66,000, though he would retain the site's chauffeur cottage and surrounding grounds in favor of leaving them to his wife Liddy. And in 1948, the Fathers would sell the expanse to the Sisters of St. Felix, who would utilize the old mansion's grounds as a school. During their tenure, the sisters would construct a number of structures across the property, and though most have since been removed, Angela Hall, which was constructed in 1958, is actually still operating as a school today. In 1975, the Felician sisters would move to New Mexico and would sell the estate to Ponca City, after which the mansion would be opened up to the public the following year. And into more recent times, refurbs and restorations continue in attempts to return the home to its original grandeur. The EW Marland Mansion remains open into the present, offering tours, events, space rentals, and, according to legend, a number of restless spirits tied to its lengthy past, with both staff and guests to the breathtaking site reporting orbs and strange forms captured in photography, inexplicable electrical malfunctions, and instances of doors and cabinets opening and closing on their own. Ernest and his first wife, Virginia, never had any natural children, and at a point, to both assist Virginia's sister Margaret Roberts and also to share in their wealth, the couple would, in 1916, adopt 19-year-old George and 16-year-old Liddy, who were sent to private schools and were provided with every possible advantage. Sadly, Virginia would succumb to pneumonia and would pass away on June 6th of 1926. 2 years following, in 1928, EW would have Liddy Roberts Marland's adoption papers annulled, and on July 14th of the same year, EW would remarry to Liddy. At the time, Ernest was 54, while his former adopted daughter, who was also his niece, was 28. And while every conceivable speculation surrounding their marriage has likely already been made decades past, it's said the two were actually deeply in love. And following EW's passing on October 3rd of 1941, that Liddy would become reclusive and was rarely seen in public from that point forward. In 1953, over a decade following her beloved's passing, Liddy Marland would load her possessions up and would drive off from Ponca City without a license. Over the next 22 years, her whereabouts would remain a mystery, and in 1975, she would return to the Marland estate to reside in the chauffeur's cottage until her passing in 1987. One more popular legend tells that Liddy's spirit, forever tied to the property, remains on site, and an apparition bearing her likeness has been encountered both wandering the halls calls after dark, and also around the old cottage. Likely due to the amount of time she spent on the property, the ghost of Liddy has been known to manifest at different ages, appearing anywhere from 16 all the way up into her 80s, and though startling to behold, is considered a friendly and welcoming presence. Also reported across mansion grounds are instances of batteries dying inexplicably, disembodied voices and footsteps heard from empty spaces, the sounds of old-timey music, laughter, glasses clinking, and of a party when there is none, and encounters with a range of apparitions in clothing from the 1920s and onward. Lastly, a set of tunnels connect the Marland Mansion to the boathouse and art studio, and within these underground passageways, several have described extreme cold spots, the constant feelings of being watched or followed, and run-ins with ominous shadowy beings that have given chase. Thanks for tuning in for this Paranormal Pit Stop. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with anyone you feel deserves a good scare. We'll catch you next time.